What's up guys, I'm Fire, and damn, it's been an awesome week. We had the Battlefield 4's Dragon's Teeth expansion pack, and we had Destiny's beta that finally came out. And I've been waiting so long for Destiny's beta, and just because of the fact that I wasn't able to play the alpha, the beta was a lot of fun. And in fact, I wanted to do a quick little review about that. But before I start that, since the beta has been gone for 2 days now, it's finally coming back tomorrow on the 23rd, I thought a good way of sharing the beta would be to give out some free beta codes. So I have 2 free beta codes for 2 lucky PS4 owners I'm sorry, but it has to be a North American because I only have those types of codes. So here's the thing, the codes will be presented in a random time throughout this video, and it will be on screen. So you gotta pay attention to whenever it's gonna happen, and those 2 lucky viewers will be able to get those codes. But you have to also remember that these are first come, first serve codes. Alright, so now that I got all those formalities out of the way, and we can finally start on my first impression of Destiny's beta. Now I do have to say that this is a very brief first impression. Like, it's the very first impression that I've had playing the game. This is a very brief experience that I've been able to play, and mostly because I played as a hunter up until I got to level 8. So I have not been able to play as Warlock or Titan yet, but I will be playing it when the beta comes back, and I'll be able to do a final review when the game actually comes out. So I want to do a final product review. So overall, the beta is a lot of fun. I can definitely tell you that without any doubt, is that the Destiny's beta is a lot of fun. You're gonna have a lot of things to do even in the beta. When you've done all the little mini missions that you start off with, you can finally start doing some explore missions, which is only 1 right now. Only because it is a beta. So when you're doing that, you're given these little mini missions. You don't necessarily have to just walk around and fight enemies, which in this case they're gonna have the Fallen and the Hive in here. Now I do have to say that this feels so much like Halo. It only feels like the Halo up until Halo Reach when Bungie was doing it. But as far as I'm concerned, the Bungie feeling of their game is definitely in Destiny. I felt like I was playing Halo. From the guns to the gunplay to the character movements and animations. And not only that, but the ghost, that little thing that follows you around that talks to you, it reminded me so much of 343 Guilty Spark. And because of that, I was like, man, this is definitely like Halo. And it felt like home. It was good to play a Bungie game it's been so long. So it was a good comeback to finally be able to play that. And I appreciate that. While some people don't like it, how it reminds them of Halo and they want to play something new, I actually like it only because I grew up with Halo. And that was one of the first games I actually played a lot. Back when the original Xbox came out. So it's not a bad thing. Now this game is, of course, a first-person shooter with a little bit of an element of an MMO, with a little bit of third person as well. Speaking of the special abilities, I do like them, I really do, but I also feel like some things could be toned down a little bit. The golden gun's fine, you only get 3 shots with it, and it also has a limited time of you can using it, so it's not a big deal. So I wasn't able to really experience what the Warlock has for special abilities, but I have to say that the Titan's Fist of Havoc attack, which is that ground pound, it definitely could use a little bit of not much of a nerf, but kind of just toned down a little bit. I can understand it being a really just wrecks those vehicles that you can use, which I'll talk about in a minute. But as far as hitting other players, I can be in the air and use a double jump from the hunter, and he still gets killed by a ground attack, even if he's in the air, which is something I don't really understand because it's kind of stupid being able to jump over someone and then you get killed by a ground attack. So it just doesn't make any sense. But I can understand why it would be awesome against vehicles, and vehicles, they're really not all that overpowered like some people were talking about back when the alpha was out. I can understand why people would say that some of those vehicles remind them of it, but I gotta say, it's not too much. In fact, it kind of reminds me of the chopper back in Halo 3. I can't remember what that tank thing is called, but it definitely is a pretty good vehicle. But every time I'm playing on it, not a lot of people use it because they're pretty much killed a lot of the times by those turrets, which is also a very good thing to take down vehicles, and also because of the Titan's ground attack, Fist of Havoc attack, which kills them extremely fast and in fact in 1 hit, which is also another reason why vehicles are not really OP. Now the maps on the Crucible map that you get to play on, which include the Moon and Venus, I played them both, and I gotta say the maps are quite, they're decently large. The moon seems to be a little larger, but it's only 6v6, and I was really hoping that it would be a little bit more than that, maybe 12v12 on these maps, because that's what Battlefield 3 did with the current gen consoles. Then we went to next gen and we got 64. So maybe I've been a little spoiled with the 64 players, and then going back to only 6v6 kind of ruins it for me, and I just don't feel like I'm getting all the action base that you get from a multiplayer shooter. Now I can understand how games like Call of Duty can be something like that, but as you can see from Ghost, how we had large maps and then only 6v6, the players wouldn't actually find each other all that much. But that is something I really do hope they eventually fix, which I doubt it, but I don't know. 6v6 doesn't really interest me all that much, but the map like in Venus, that's actually quite good. But on the moon, it really is kind of lacking on that. People basically stay in the center of the map, and then they have to try to get back to that spot, which is why they would have to use the Sparrow to move around. And the Sparrow is a lot of fun. That thing kind of reminds me a lot about Star Wars, and it reminds me so much of it, and it even sounds like it too, and that's what's cool about it. Alright, so pretty much this game is awesome. It really is a lot of fun. It reminds me of Halo and Borderlands put together, and I could definitely tell you that. When you're in a group with other players, especially friends, this game gets even better because you're able to enjoy it with other people. When the event challenge comes out, where it can include a giant tank that comes out of nowhere, or even a bunch of enemies that just spawn from these ships that remind me a lot about Halo. And this game has a lot of potential. Even though it's only the beta, I can honestly tell you that the final product is probably going to be even better, because there are some things that need to be fixed, and there are also some graphical issues that I've seen, how sometimes the texture isn't always there. The resolution isn't 1080p, which it was also stated that it's 900p for the beta, and then of course at 30 frames per second, which is also another downgrade, only because of the fact that they have to compensate for the past gen consoles, the 360 and the PS3, and that is the reason why this is not a full next gen game. But that's I don't know, we're trading frames per second for graphics and resolution. Sometimes I can feel like I wish it was the other way around, and it can be, I don't even mind it being 900p but 60 frames per second. I wish it was something like that. Sometimes it can be a little sluggish, and because of that, it kind of ruins the experience. And that is why I wish that it was more than just 30 frames per second, because it feels like I'm playing Battlefield 3 on the 360 again. If things got a little too chaotic, it starts to freeze up, and things just get very sluggish and it looks kind of bad. Now I noticed also in the beta how some of the plants and textures and stuff can look very rough, and it doesn't feel like all that much cleaned up. But then again, it is the beta, and it's not even the final product. They do have some time to finish it, to polish it, so it's gonna look better when the final product comes out. The last thing before I forget is about the special ammo. And now, those that played the beta and the alpha will definitely know this. When you have multiple special guns, you're going to need special ammo. When you're picking up ammo, of course you're going to keep it in your inventory. But when you change your gun, not your primary gun, but your secondary gun and your special guns, which includes like a rocket launcher, a machine gun. You also have guns that are very useful for your class. So you're going to need special ammo for that. And since you need a special type of ammo, you're going to have to pick up different variations of it. And the thing is, when you're exchanging those for different weapons, it takes away the ammo you've collected, and your character basically drops it on the floor, and you take out your new gun, and it's completely empty. And I don't understand why you would drop ammo down. This is not primary, you're going to keep that, but your secondary and your special ammo, it's gone when you're switching between weapons. And I don't know why they would do that. I can understand maybe they can do this where you drop down ammo for say a rocket launcher, and you want to change it for a different one. You can still keep that ammo, but if you switch to a light machine gun, I can understand why you would start at 0, but come on, at least give us that. And you can't say you want to be realistic, because why on earth would you drop ammo for everyone else to pick up? and you can't even do that. You can't even pick up people's ammo that you just randomly lose. So that's something that I wish that was fixed. I don't know if it will be, but I could definitely say that's something that really kind of annoyed me. And another thing is the character customization. That it gives you a lot of options to make your character, but it doesn't have as much customization as you would think that you were going to get. Maybe it's because it's just the beta, but I felt like I wasn't given as much options that I thought I was going to. But maybe in the final product we might get something extra. I'm not sure. But it would be a pretty cool thing because I want my character to look different than someone else. And if you have a preset of different variations of not a lot of options, you're eventually going to find people that look exactly the same. And I want my guy to look different than everyone else's. In fact, when I first started and made my hunter, I made him an exo guy because he looked kind of cool and adding all these details to him. But it didn't give you a lot of details at all. So in the end, you looked like half the people around you. And I hope that when the final game comes out, you're given more options. I want it to look something like it was in Mass Effect and even Saints Row, something that gives you some options. So I want Destiny to have a lot of different things you can do just to make this game even better and make it more personal and unique. Alright, so this kind of wraps up my brief. This is a very long brief review. In fact, it would be a lot longer if it was the final review. But since it's just the beta, yeah, this is all we're going to get. But overall, this game is a lot of fun. It really will be worth your money. In fact, there weren't a lot of problems, but as I said, there are some in there. But you're going to have to find out for yourself. And I hope those 2 lucky players get the beta and are able to play along and enjoy it as much as I did. So as always, guys, I'm Fire, and I'll see you on the next one.